Next guest is Ted Goveia. Ted is the assistant general manager for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Asked Ted to speak because I get so many questions about the CFL process, and I hear a lot of things that are way off base. And I wanted Ted to come in and kind of clear up a few things and kind of talk about what the next 90 days look like for a CFL team, and kind of, answer questions, maybe clear up some misconceptions. So without further ado, Ted Goveia.
Thanks, Neil. I wish you told me that's what I was talking about. But I only got an hour to talk, right, Neil? So I'll keep it short. First of all, I want to thank Neil for having me down here. A lot of agents in this room I know on some level. Obviously, there's a lot of new guys I look forward to meeting over the next couple of days. And it's one of the reasons I come down here. First of all, as a CFL guy, you think you're kept out of things at the NFL Combine. We're not allowed near anything. So for me to have something to do besides eat to come down here tonight, I do appreciate the invitation. Myself, my background's coaching, okay? So I started coaching college football for 16 years, ended up coaching in the CFL. And the interesting thing about the CFL is, as you guys know, we don't pay as much for the players, but when you're on the other side of it, coaching or the management side, in our league, the common theme is the more you can do, right? So I was coaching running backs, and I also did the Canadian draft, because in the CFL, there's a draft just for Canadians. So I was in control of that, and you work alone. And anyways, they fired the whole staff and brought me in. Like, I was the only guy that wasn't brought into a meeting till the very end, and all my friends started walking by saying, I just got fired, I just got fired, I just got fired. Two of them were my roommates living in my house. And I started panic thinking, how am I going to pay for my mortgage because these guys are moving out. And then I got called in, and the GM said, look, we didn't win enough games, I let the whole staff go. But you do have all the information for the draft, so what do you think about coming on the player personnel side? And I thought about it for about a second, and took the job, and that was 5 years ago. And it's different than coaching. I think it's given me a different perspective. Obviously, working with agents and athletes on different levels it's rewarding in a different way. But for you guys that aren't familiar with the Canadian Football League, and I imagine, I always joke about it with agents because they go, well, my guy, he wants to go to the NFL, right? And just common things I hear on a daily basis. Of course he does, right? There's more zeros on the paycheck, and there's not a lot of American kids running around the playground as kids saying, I can't wait to grow up and play in the CFL, right? It's not something that's said. So coming out here and having a chance to talk to you about our league and to shed some light on it. When I grew up watching pro football, while I may have had a Franco Harris jersey, I watched Warren Moon, Doug Flutie, Congridge Holloway, Joe Barnes, Roy DeWalt, Tommy Clements, Dieter Brock. These guys were all guys that came through as I was a kid, sneaking on the GO train for $4 to go and watch a CFL game. And I loved every minute of it. So that's what I grew up on. The game itself is different than the NFL, and I bring it up because oftentimes guys will call me that maybe don't know me or don't know my background, and then they say stuff like, well, the guy was in an NFL camp, he'll kill it up there. And I get why you might think that. But I'm going to talk to you about the differences of the game to shed some light in terms of the athletes that we're looking for, and then you can understand that just because a guy, didn't make it in the NFL doesn't mean he's going to win us a Grey Cup in Winnipeg, okay? So first of all, the game itself, it's all geared towards scoring points, okay? That's the bottom line. So for defensive players, it's a transition. Any new guys that play, it's tough, okay? There's a 1-yard neutral zone. The field dimensions are different, and this freaks people out. So when I travel the U.S., which I do all the time, your fields are a lot smaller than what I grew up on. So our fields are 65 yards wide. That's how wide they are, okay? The end zones are 20 yards long. So when you talk about pounding it in from the 8-yard line, we're still throwing vertically on the 8-yard line, okay? The play clock's 20 seconds. So your nose tackle types, your 320-pounders, they don't play in our league. They don't fit, okay? There's unlimited motion. So you have to have 7 guys on the line of scrimmage. These guys are coming from everywhere, okay? We play 5 receiver sets. While Urban Meyer thinks he invented the spread offense, we've been running it in the CFL for 20-something years, a very long time, okay? So that offense has been run, and that's what we run. It's 12 guys on the field. There's 5 receivers. It's mostly 6-man protection schemes. So the running back needs to be able to, 1, catch the ball, 2, protect, and be productive on 11 carries a game. And that's tough for some kid that got fed the rock 21 times a game in college. And then we're on his ass because he's only averaging 4 yards a carry. But here's the kicker, it's 3-down football. So 4 downs a carry isn't good unless we only give it to you on 2nd and 3, right? So you need to be productive on 1st down. The other nuances that change a little bit are specialty teams. Obviously, you may think, well, 3-down football, you're going to punt all day, and you do. You punt a lot more than the NFL or college. We punt maybe, well, last year we punted more than most teams, but other years, you know, you're punting 11 times a game. But to keep it interesting for the fan base, right, special teams is treated as an offensive play. So there's no fair catch rule. Those guys are going. So the guys that, you know, are the small little scat back cat that can run a 4-2, he's got a place in our league, you know. So special teams are a big part of it. It's treated as an offensive play. At the end of the day, guys, our league's about 68% pass. And I bring this up to you because as you go through it, and I get a lot of calls from guys, and to me, being an agent is all about, it's building a rapport, right? Guys will call me and say, I want to build a relationship. And I'm thinking, really? What kind of relationship, right? You want to place a guy, and I want to win. And if we get to know each other through the process, then there's a relationship there. But when you call me and say, I got a tight end, then you're losing credibility. When you're calling me 3 times about a fullback, and you call me back and ask me the same thing, and I explain to you that we don't use any, those are the things that you need to figure out on your own. When it comes to building credibility, that we would actually have a relationship we can talk about, guys, right? So I try to be honest with people for guys that have dealt with me. I don't mind educating people at this event, but I really don't want to be called at work to tell you how the CFL works, right? That's not fair to me, and really you got to pay somebody to do that for you. I don't have time to do that. But talking to you about it here, I'll set it up for you so you understand, so you don't waste a lot of time calling CFL teams. Don't bother calling about long snappers, they're Canadian. Here's the deal, so you understand, 46 guys in our team get an active roster paycheck. 44 are dressed, 2 are on reserve. It's important to realize, okay? 10 guys are on practice roster. We can pay you somewhere between $600 and $1,000 a week plus housing and food, okay? Not a lot of money. More than you'd make, you know, working a future shop or something, but not a lot of money. We can carry guys uninjured, but they changed the rules and now it counts against the cap. So, of those 46 spots, here's the kicker, 21 are reserved for Canadians. We got to dress 21 Canadians. It's the Canadian Football League, okay? 7 starters between O and D need to be Canadian, okay? So, as you work through that and you start to work the math, what's it equal to? Now keep in mind, I got a coaching staff that's probably worked with the guys on our football team that are coming back, so they're comfortable with those guys, right? So how many jobs are available for American players? When you call up and say, my guy will kill it up there. Because you can't say that, because I've cut more guys that have played in the NFL than I've probably kept, for a number of reasons, okay? So when you look at it, really what it's equal to is probably 1 NFL expansion team. So would you make that call the NFL expansion team if your guy didn't make it with the Raiders or the 49ers? Probably not. But that's how many jobs are available for American players every year. That's it. So, saving yourself time and money, getting an understanding of how it works. Our cap is $5.1 million. Whew. That's not a lot of money. It would be if it was all for me, but for players it's not. Now here's the bottom line, because Canadians are harder to find, supply and demand, right? Agents all understand that, leverage. The Canadians have all the leverage, because there's not enough good ones. This is being taped.
Nobody's going to watch it.
Good. but they're shorter on Canadians. So these guys end up making more money. And it's 68% pass. So who do you think gets the other 8% of our salary cap? The quarterbacks. The quarterbacks in our league make between 130, 150, up to 500,000 a year. So here's the kicker in the CFL. As you go through it, you're thinking, okay, well, why would I send a guy? Right? Why would I send a guy there? If the salary cap's 5.1 million, because you're going to have these conversations with your clients. And they all think that they're in the wrong league. They should all be in the NFL. I get it. Right? They're not. Right? They're on the street. You're looking to place them, and I'm looking to sign a guy. The league minimum salary in our league next year is $52,000. Now I can beef it up with some t-shirts and some hats, and we'll feed you breakfast and lunch, right? We do that, which is more than other teams. And when you travel, you get $110 a day per diem, okay? That's it. And so your job's to maximize this phone call, and you want to get the most money, and my job as the guy to negotiate contracts is to save my money to pay our higher price guys so I don't lose them to free agency. That's the game, right? So the flexibility really is maybe up to 60 grand, 62. I mean, there's some guys here that I know that have a guy and I trust them and I might do a favor. But those are the economics of the CFL as you go through it. So as you talk to your client, you go, well, yeah, well, you know, I look at it and go, you know, we're not the NFL. I mean, we're not. I'm not paid like an NFL guy, and neither are the players. We play 20 weeks of football, 18 regular season games, 2 preseason games. We have no off season, no mini camp, and we got a 15-hour work week. There's a union, and we only get the players for 15 hours. So when you're 23 years old, and your teammate that you played besides making $250,000, and you're making 52, it can be hard to swallow, right? But then I also look at it and go, you only have so many times to play this game, so many years to play it. Your phone will stop ringing at some point, right? And then you look at the opportunity ahead of you. So if it's a young guy that I'm signing, right, fresh out of college, whatever, got overlooked, played at a smaller place, whatever the deal is. The NFL doesn't miss on a lot of guys these days. But they do miss on some. And so the opportunity to return to the NFL at the end of your 2-year commitment exists, okay? And it does exist. 6 guys from our football team signed NFL contracts this year. 6. 15 in the CFL signed. Okay, I don't know if they'll all stick. God bless them if they do. We do try to help guys. I know it helps build a rapport with other players and agents when we're able to help guys, you know, get there. But the number one thing is the opportunity, right? The opportunity to return to play. Or you come back and you play through your contract and you'll get somewhere between 70 and 150,000. So it does go up, okay? But I try to remind guys, because I do talk to a lot of players. Obviously, you can imagine I travel a lot across the United States talking to players. And the bottom line is, we're not going to find you on your couch, right? You got to continue to play. Pushing A and B on the Xbox, or whatever they're playing this year, it's not going to get you where you need to be, okay? Playing the sport, getting coached, interacting with your teammates, whether it's in the Arena League or the CFL, is an opportunity to get better and continue to make some money doing it. And you can complain, right, because guys often do. I shouldn't say often. Some guys choose to. And then I look at it and I think about my first job, coaching, where I delivered pizza at night to the players that I coached during the day for a meal card and some free classes. And it was the best job I ever had. I loved every minute of it. So as you go through it, guys, the opportunity to play, I think, in our league, the guys that do it love it. They stay in 5-star hotels. Our league's got 9 teams across 9 cities. You're treated well throughout it. And while the opportunity isn't there to retire or change your life, the opportunity to continue to play the game exists, okay? And how we find our players, and this is one that I'll leave with you so you understand, okay? Our budget, I don't know what an NFL budget is. I haven't looked into it. I got enough with my own deal going on to study that. But in our budget, we have enough money to see every NFL training camp. So for 5 years, I've been pretty much to every NFL team or one of our scouts has, and it's been awesome. Like to go to the Patriots and see how they operate. I flew the next day to Seattle and watched how they operated for 3 days, and it was fascinating. Awesome. So I go through, I watch 2 practices. Most places let me watch video if I got a relationship with them and they trust me, and then I watch a game, and then we break down the film, you know, on our own. Then we write reports on all these guys, every cut player, okay? Then we start working the phones. And half aren't fit, 25% are sitting at home, they don't want to come up, and then we're fighting like cats and dogs over the last 25%, okay? From there, so if you weren't in an NFL training camp, and I don't know who you are, and a lot of guys don't end up in NFL training camps, or they're cut in mini camp, we run free agent camps across the United States. And I've been doing this for 5 years, okay? And I talk to guys all the time, agent friends of mine, you know, guys that just call me up to ask about the process, okay? The bottom line is this, we don't have it in our budget to go out except for the NFL training camps. So unless I saw the guy in an NFL training camp, then I'm not going to sign him, because I'm not going to sign somebody that I've never seen. I'll give you a couple examples. I'm the head coach of a university football team. Guy sends me videotapes, free safety out of New York. I'm in Canada. Kid looks awesome, right? Stud, lighting it up, killing everybody. I offer the kid a scholarship, which in Canada was tuition and books. That's all I could give the kid. He shows up. He's white. The guy I was watching wasn't. Send me a video and it's all in slow motion, right? All high pointing, zero value to me. Send me a video and it's sped up, and then say it wasn't. Well, I watch video every day of my life. I know when a video is sped up, unless the nose tackles are all running 4.8s. You know, I know what people move like. So I don't bother, right? I watch video that comes from the NFL or from the CFL or directly from the college, but the highlight videos, I don't have time to watch the 50 I get a day. I go out on the road, I work people out, I spend 6 hours with them, I kick the tires, I rattle their chains, and I've coached all my life, so I coach them. And then from there, I can figure out if this is a guy that I want. Through that process, I've signed 21 guys in the last 2 years, 7 starters. One guy worked out for me three times. Mo Leggett was the Kansas City Chiefs Rookie of the Year 3 or 4 years ago. He's older now. He came out of a workout in Atlanta, ran a 4.4. I signed him in the parking lot. That stuff happens in our league, right? Because we're not talking about big dollars. But that's the process of what I go through to find a player, okay? So as you go through it, and you think about calling CFL teams, I'm telling you, the guys that are good dudes that come up to our league, they love it for what it is, man. You gotta love football to come up to the Canadian Football League. Once you're there, I know you'll enjoy it. If you're playing and you're interacting with your teammates and you're a good dude, Canada is not a hard place to live. Now, Winnipeg in December, that can be a hard place to live. But May to November, when you're required, it's a lot of fun. All right? Neil, I didn't go over?
I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Thanks, guys.